I have to ask about this because I think you've hit the nail on the head with the defense on the opposite side of the ball. Of course, for the receiver room, you added Baron Brown and Nick Anderson, two of the highest rated wide receiver prospects in the transfer portal. Gary Nussmeier, of course, is coming back for his second season after he threw for 4,000 yards, nation's leading passer. And of course, in the running back room, you bring back Kane Durham, who had a fantastic freshman season. Colin Barron, JT Lindsay are coming in as true freshmen. And of course, Caleb Jackson returns for his junior year as well. But I have to ask about the offensive line because that is the biggest question for LSU's offense. You replaced 4 of your 5 stars from the year before, which include Will Campbell, who was a top 5 pick. And on top of that, the only other star you have coming back is DJ Chester, but we're still not sure if he's going to be a guard or a center because in the transfer portal you brought in Braylon Moore from Virginia Tech, who was a center there, started for 30 games, but also Josh Thompson started over 30 games for Northwestern. But how do you think the rest of the offensive line plays out? And then also, what should we expect when this offensive line goes up against Clemson on August 30th?
This season is going to hinge on how good the offensive line can be and its ability to replace those 4 starters, because everything that you added doesn't matter if Garrett Nussmeier doesn't have time to throw the football and you don't get pushed up front to be able to create lanes in the running game. It's not going to matter if they can't, dictate those things up front, and they're going to get tested right away against Clemson. What should we expect? I have no idea because we still don't even know who's really going to be starters, and so many of them are either haven't been starters at LSU or are going to really be first-time starters, like Tyree Adams at left tackle and probably Weston Davis at right tackle. I mean, those are going to be guys who are really starting for the first time. How are they going to be able to handle that, especially against the Clemson defensive front that looks really good? Guys like TJ Parker up there. I mean, they've got some dudes, some NFL-type dudes on the defensive line, and that's going to be tough to have to handle them on the road week 1. Coming right out of the gates. LSU's got such a tough test against Clemson, and particularly with this offensive line. And so over the course of the season, they might get better, and this team might get better, even if you potentially lose to Clemson week 1. I don't think it really signals what this team can be unless they get blown out. But even I think about Clemson itself last year, getting blown out against Georgia week 1, and then they end up winning the ACC and, being a playoff team. So it's not, the end of the world. The sky is not necessarily falling, but it will feel that way to LSU fans, if they do lose that season opener just because of having not won one over the past 5 years. I digress. The offensive line. I would think it's probably going to be, like I said, Tyree Adams at left tackle. I would still probably pencil in Braylon Moore at center. Brian Kelly told me before spring practice that he would be the center and that DJ Chester would be playing guard. We saw them both competing a lot, but that was also in the spring. So, I think we'll see exactly how that shakes out. Maybe DJ Chester holds on to it, but at the moment, I'd still probably think Braylon Moore plays center. Josh Thompson plays right guard. And then Weston Davis plays right tackle. Brian Kelly said after the spring that was probably where Weston Davis will be, really leaving you with that left guard spot for a lot of competition. And DJ Chester would probably have the edge on it because of his experience. So we'll see if that's how it shakes out. That would be my prediction at this moment.
Yeah, definitely. And when we speak about the offensive line, we have to talk about Brad Davis and the job he's done with this offensive line. When he inherited the offensive line, when he came here in O's last year in 21, wasn't a great unit, but over time he has recruited very well. 4 of the 5 guys that have moved on are all got drafted in NFL, and also he just keeps making move after move in the recruiting cycle, because yesterday Emmanuel Tucker, 4-star offensive tackle from the state of Mississippi, committed to LSU. So how do you rate Brad Davis' job being the offensive line coach at LSU? But then also, how much faith do you have in him to get this offensive line ready, considering the fact that you're replacing 4 of your 5 guys from last year?
Well, knowing Brad Davis, I mean, he's not going to leave any stone unturned. He's going to work. You don't have to doubt that he's going to put in a ton of work and effort into making sure that this offensive line is ready. And we'll just see if it actually is. I mean, he's at least going to give it everything that he has. That's how he operates. But, it has to have his job so far. I'd say maybe B+ A- kind of level, because the offensive line just didn't quite meet what were very high expectations last year. but they just weren't good enough in the run game. I mean, there was a lot of things that contribute to whether or not you're good in the run game. The perimeter blocking needed to be better. Garrett Nussmeier needed to make some better decisions in terms of his management of it. The running backs probably needed to be better at hitting the hole. But the offensive line, I mean, you heard it from Jack Pyburn, this spring, a guy who played against LSU last year and is now on the team this year coming over from Florida. Like he said, when they watched them on film, they weren't physical enough. And that got exposed throughout the season. They weren't getting enough push up front. And that falls to an extent on Brad Davis, as the offensive line coach, So, those were, there's been some things here and there where the offensive line has got to continue to get better. And he has, in terms of recruiting rankings, recruited very well over the past few years. And this is really the first time that we're going to see just how well he's recruited, this year. I mean, is Tyree Adams and Weston Davis, are they good enough and ready enough to play tackle? You kind of got blessed with Will Campbell being ready as a freshman, and he didn't even right away. And then even a couple games into the season, Emory Jones being able to come in and play. That's rare, So his ability to develop these guys is going to be on display this season. And I think we're going to get a better, maybe in some ways, a better sense of just how well he develops these recruits that he's brought in this year compared to maybe some of the past few years. But you also have to give him credit, again, for helping Will Campbell meet his potential in a lot of ways, and for helping Emory Jones become a top 3 round, top 100 pick, and Garrett Dellinger getting drafted, and Miles Frazier getting drafted. Like Brad Davis has a hand in all that. So I think LSU's offensive line is in a better place compared to when he first took over. But for it to really get all the flowers and to be, kind of like a strength of the team every single year, now after he has to go and replace all those guys, and all that recruiting has to really pay off moving forward.